Nostalgia is a form of pain. Some of you may know that, some of you may not. It's literally in the name. It's from the Greek. Nostos is home, and the argia part is pain, a form of pain. At the top of my head, I can't remember many, but you know, neuralgia, right? Basic pain emanating from the nerves. Now, we're living in a time when nostalgia, in my opinion, is at its most lethal and toxic. Maybe nostalgia always has been, but nostalgia now seems to seek to destroy us and harm us actively. I believe this. I think it's because we don't trust tradition. And in many ways, nostalgia is the stopgap for the void which is present when tradition is absent. Now, this is all going to be very rough. I don't have a script. I like to do these videos as riffing. Hopefully I don't wander around too much. I believe the quality in general is going to get better the more I do this. I even mean in the basic technical sense. At the moment, I have a microphone, which I'm not that crazy about. And I'm, of course, simply using my MacBook Air. I didn't even remember what this whole stupid thing is called. My MacBook Air camera, which is fine. But soon, I believe I will remedy this. In the meantime, the origin of this video, and I just don't want to butcher the name, but, you know, I built my algorithm brick by brick, and sometimes amazing things come my way. And there's a gentleman, again, I don't want to butcher his name. I'm going to link the video in the description, and I encourage you to watch it and subscribe to his channel and interact with him. But it was about the homelessness of Christopher Nolan and why this will render essentially his adaptation of the Odyssey, which I think is just now been released, that it's not really going to be a worthwhile adaptation. And it's specifically because Christopher Nolan is a spiritually homeless person. Now, I'm not going to do this gentleman's video justice, and I highly recommend you watch it. And I don't even necessarily want to summarize it much except to say his essential point, incredibly well articulated and with beautiful examples, was that in the films of Christopher Nolan, there's often a common plot and theme of trying to come home and the home not being there. Interstellar's a great example of this. Inception probably better, and Inception with its ending, some people say it's ambiguous, some people say it's not at all. Whatever's going on, he's not really home. I even think if the camera lingers on the totem long enough, that is his spinning top, for us to learn whether it's a dream or not, he still wouldn't be home. But regardless, we're meant to have this happen when we watch a lot of Christopher Nolan films. The Memento, in a more abstract sense, is also engaging in this. Tenet, you get the idea. Now, I wrote my own very long sort of effort post comment on that video, and he literally encouraged me to make a video essay. So I suppose this is a video essay, but I'm riffing. At some point I might read from something here or there. I personally would like to mostly do the riffing part. I have a Substack, which I encourage you to read. But on the Substack, that's where I want to do the writing. I'm not really crazy about the idea of creating an elaborate, pristine script for a video. I just want to be able to talk and make sense. That may or may not work. I mean, I'm not even doing this very well. I'm looking at the screen, then the camera, then here, then there. Okay. The substance of my comment, and here I'm already going to break a rule because I've attempted to do this video about 1,000 times. I'm going to read my comment. Why not? And since I don't have the fancy teleprompter fake thing, I'm going to be awkwardly reading it and not looking at the camera. So help us all. As an American, I would say that we don't share the same nostalgia of the ancients. The pain for home we experience is absolutely far more ominous, yet beguiling, even pleasurable, and exceedingly lethal. Most of us labor under the incredibly robust delusion that home is simply the polished past of bullshit toys and old fast food restaurant design, and we imbibe a steady toxic stream of cartoon reference memes and liminal photographs of abandoned retail spaces and even pseudo-melodies of AI-generated music. I believe that nostalgia is ultimately a morbid condition in our culture which simply serves to obscure and even destroy tradition, that which is authentically alive and handed down from the past. But I have nothing in common, here I'm being arrogant, with this insidious heap of old TV commercials and fake music and outdated video game systems that are applied to the culture en masse to replace any authentic journey home. People are nostalgic for old versions of the shit they hate now. They're nostalgic for old screens. They claim they are nostalgic for a past that wasn't theirs, which to my mind is another way of saying I thirst to be handed the still smoldering flame of life, love, and memory, which I have never even witnessed, would never dream of attempting to kindle for myself. Under this light, someone like Nolan, who is indeed talented, self-aware, can only make the films he does with the themes as you have so, again I'm commenting on the other video, masterfully uncovered, because there really is no pair of hands reaching down from heaven or from collective memory. There's only the self-willed and manufactured necessary fictions we fabricate of a past and a future to offer any sort of limpid telos. I fear then, while Memento was an honest, albeit thoroughly bleak film, this picture, that is the Odyssey, will be completely mendacious from top to bottom. There the hero is granted the light of, to at least, again this is a Memento, recognize his grim, self-destructive drive to cycle through his violent fantasies. But what will he do to Odysseus? The only movies Nolan has done which in any way intersect with the past, The Prestige and Oppenheimer. I actually forgot here, interestingly enough, even though it fits perfectly well, Dunkirk. These films showcase how illusion and destruction tend to be the only lasting products of our materialistic and mechanistic labors. And there is no spirituality in Nolan's world, even when it would be fictionally appropriate. My God, he made a film about people sharing a dream space, Inception, a dream space. And he reduced the unconscious itself to a field of industrial espionage and commercialization. He took the insights of Freud and Jung. I know both of them didn't get along. I know they had very different understandings of each other. Freud was a materialist. Jung was very much not one, but they still held the unconscious as something high and worthy in and of itself of exploration. Okay? He takes those insights and he simply transformed it into a canvas of nihilistic finance capital. It's not that I don't appreciate his films, I do, but they are vehicles of the jaundiced Weltanschauung worldview, which marries jaded existentialism with technical dread. Okay, that was my comment. Kind of silly reading it out like that. I'm going to annotate it a bit and try to bring out a few more ideas. So, we don't like tradition. I don't want to go too far with this, but tradition literally means that which is handed down. Traditio. What's funny about tradition is we also get words like betrayal from that. To be handed over. That's what it means to be betrayed. Many of us feel that tradition betrays us, and we can all probably point to, get the nose rubbing, I don't know why it's happening, suddenly I'm itchy. We can all point to things that are traditions that have failed us. Institutions that are traditional that have failed us. And, we have a culture, rightly, not rightly, that encourages us to think this way. Shirley Jackson's The Lottery is probably the ultimate expression of this. They have this horrible tradition of taking the lottery, killing someone innocent by stoning them. Right? Again, notice it's very biblical and archaic, stoning. And they do it because they do it because they do it. I don't actually believe that's what tradition is. I'm going to use a quick example here. There's a thing called black rod in the United Kingdom. And black rod is a guy, sometimes a woman, with a black rod. Black rod shows up, and as far as I know, really only has any purpose when a new session of Parliament is called. Now, the way this works is the monarch, in this case be King Charles III, literally calls the House of Commons to come by, and they discuss the new government and so on and so forth. Here's the part that's interesting. So Black Rod, with the black rod, walks over to the chamber where the House of Commons sits, and as Black Rod is coming, members of the House of Commons literally shut the door in his or her face. And then Black Rod takes the rod, which is black, and pounds upon the door, and finally is let in. Finally, I shouldn't say it doesn't take very long. And of course, this is a ritual. It's a ceremony. It's been done hundreds of years, literally by this point. And then Black Rod invites everybody in, and they hear what the king has to say, and they start another government, which everybody hates in the United Kingdom. Now, I bring this up because there's this weird idea you hear a lot when tradition is critiqued, which is that no one actually knows where it comes from. We're just doing it. We think it's more than it is. Now, the actual origin of this whole event is because King Charles I, under great protest, dissolved Parliament. And when Parliament was finally allowed to be Parliament again, they turned this into a ceremony. Everyone's aware of what it was. Everyone's aware of the history. We live symbolically because we wish to integrate more into our lives and have fuller lives on every metric. Symbol is, of course, that SYM, bringing together. You are taking elements of reality, physical, non-physical ideas, and you are molding them together so that they become more than the sum of their parts. Now, I bring this up because a few years ago, someone told me a story. I'm a member of the Eastern Orthodox Church. Tradition is very important for us, obviously. I believe this person was fairly secular. I think she was something of a Buddhist. And she was telling me why, tradition is garbage, which is sort of funny. She's also teaching herself Sanskrit. Okay. But tradition is garbage. And she was very adamant about this. And she told me a story. And the story was about her own family and how for certain meals they'd make a roast and they would put the roasting pan in the oven at sort of an odd angle. And no one knew why they did this, but they say it just makes the meat taste so much better. Then you find out her mother's mother, her mother's 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 mother did it. And why do they do it this way? Because the oven at that time was too small, so they had to put in the roast in an awkward way. Hence, tradition is bullshit. People just do shit, they don't know why, and it's meaningless. Now, here's what I hate about this story. First, she told me this was literally from her family. It's literally not. I looked it up. I've told other people about this. Everyone has heard this. I don't know how I hadn't, and everyone claims it's from their own family. So that's the first thing. It's an outright lie. It's a tradition of lying. But the other thing, what I really can't stand about this story, is it assumes, and just like Shirley Jackson's The Lottery assumes, that if something is passed on, which doesn't have an immediate, materialistic, efficacious existence in and of itself, we do it because we're dumb, and we just do it because we're told. No, we're always aware of why we do traditions. We make them symbolic. We bring in all these other things into the ritual act. The real version of that story with the pan, first off, it probably wouldn't become tradition, but more importantly, they would know why. People know why a black rod comes by, and they go through all of that. But I think that's a really common view of tradition for Americans. It's something handed down which betrays us, which has no reason for being. It's a waste of time. Not all traditions are valid, sure. We all have our own understanding and experiences. I'd say we've replaced tradition with nostalgia. And again, I have to talk a little bit about the generational war. Now, this is passé. I think it's very negative. I do it far too much. Millennials sort of have this horrible pride, speaking of generational war, of hating other generations and being the only ones that have a reason to. That's nonsense. And I don't say this to hate. But I do find it disturbing, although the Zoomers are aware of this. They're quite cognizant of it, which is something. But I do find it disturbing that you have people in high school or in their early 20s, and they love like old fake old synthesizer music. And they love these videos you'll see on YouTube. Huge hits, like somebody took a camcorder in the year 1999 or 2000 and went to their high school and took, a video of it. Or they went to the mall. You find these old videos of people who go to the mall in 1995. Even I find them sort of interesting. Historical documents. But they are huge. And then they turn into these funny edits on TikTok and everything else. And they're all outright saying, I'm nostalgic for a world that I never got to experience. I think they know, of course, that there's nothing spiritually uplifting or marvelous about walking around a high school in 1998. Or, going to Spencer's Gifts in 2004 at, the Stonewood Galleria, or whatever the hell they used to give these malls names as. But what they're saying is there is something from the past I never received, and I wish I had. That's tradition. Okay, so, yeah. Dog started barking, mailman came. It got really hot, I took my jacket off. Not a total loss in the mail. Check it out. Coupons. Whoa. C4. Not ashamed, am ashamed. Yes, I've drunk that at times. Okay, so where we left off, and I don't want to go much further. I hope I made my point. I hope I make points much better soon. And I don't really want to get into, I realize, discussing more about Christopher Nolan's films and these other things, ultimately. But where I ended was this idea that we do have the generation, self-aware, brilliant, I'm a teacher, I know, who realized they were not given traditions. They weren't handed them down. And so they're filling in the gap with nostalgia. Now, Odysseus in the Odyssey has a very literal form of nostalgia. Shockingly literal. He misses home, that gives him pain, so he's on a journey to home. And home, it's literally Ithaca. It's Penelope. It's his son Telemachus. Our nostalgia is very pernicious in this regard. There's not an actual home, but there is actual pain. And the nostalgia itself, it's a form of pain we enjoy, and it's marketed to us. And we know it's pain and it's hurting us, and we want it. We like it. I like it. I try to avoid it. I try to think and hope that being in the Eastern Orthodox Church and reading the old works and writing and enjoying music and even going into places of nature, which might sound funny to say nature's tradition, it's not man-made, but it is tradition in two senses. One, it is something handed down to us, not nature in general from other human beings, but the places we go. This is preserved as a park, a national park, a state park, even an artificial neighborhood park. These are things that people from the past gave us. And that way it is a tradition. And it's also a tradition, as silly as this sounds, to ramble, to do something that is not immediately materially efficacious. Yes, it's exercise, it has these benefits. But really, the point of taking a walk in the woods is you enjoy being part of a vast, beautiful tradition. And it really should never immediately be about some sort of material result. Okay, so Odysseus gets real nostalgia and the real cure of homecoming. We get nostalgia as a form of toxin. And some generations are simply saturated with it more than others. Christopher Nolan has a problem with recognizing an authentic home. He is homeless. He makes wonderful films, but he is homeless. And again, the other YouTube video I've been referencing does such a beautiful job explaining that. His version of the Odyssey, whatever we might think of it, is coming from an auteur who doesn't actually believe in the underlying premise of this ancient epic. He doesn't actually believe there's such a thing as a home we can return to. Okay, this sort of worked, it sort of didn't. If some people actually watch this and they give a comment, give a comment. Tell me what you think. Don't be brutal or nice. Even better if you're nice. Please visit my Substack. Please buy a subscription. I'm going to have videos explaining more of who I am and what I do and why I'm doing it. Hopefully with the better camera. And hopefully I'll actually look at the camera as opposed to just above it, which I keep doing. And I keep hitting the microphone, which is great. Also, I have a book if you'd like to support me. There's going to be a link. I can't find my own copy of my own book. Isn't that dumb? It's a work of poetry. Poetry's not very famous. Not famous, what am I saying? Poetry is not particularly popular now. It's free verse. It's phrastic. It's based on the tarot. I think it's good. I wrote it, of course. Please take a look. Please buy it. You don't even have to read it. You can just buy it. Buy buckets of it. Give you good luck. I don't know. You could use them doorstop. But buy it. Anyway, this was awkward, but I've done it. I have pierced the veil. The video essay as best I could. I will get better. It will look better. It will make more sense. I may or may not do more scripting or less. Sort of, yeah. Anyway, thank you for indulging me.